Story 1. I was addicted to opioids for 9 years. Tomorrow, I will celebrate 27 weeks of being clean and sober. Story 2. My weighted blanket was purchased to help with anxiety, and now I feel like I'm in a committed relationship with it. I even pack it for hotel stays. My friends think I'm crazy, but they have not experienced the magic yet. Story 3. Mary Jane and I have had a wild affair since I was 14, and I am very invested in this relationship. She takes care of my troubles and is always worth the effort. Story 4. I wish I weren't, but unfortunately, as a female, I am addicted to pornography. I did not know a person could become so addicted. I am depressed, and I feel so ashamed. I honestly thought that men were the only ones who struggled with this vice. This is not a joke. I wish it were. Story 5. Music is actually a problem for me. I can't go a moment without it and feel irritated if there isn't any noise in my ears. Even when interacting with people, I feel more relaxed when music is playing in the background or through my headphones. I buy too many CDs and vinyl records. 2024 was a good year because I really toned down my purchases, but I don't have high hopes for 2025. I'm spending too much on music. Story 6. I am a non-drinking alcoholic and have been sober for 31 years now. I shudder to think what would have happened if I had not stopped. Story 7. I used to be addicted to alcohol and cigarettes. I quit both, but I still use marijuana daily. Feels like a habit I will never get rid of. Story 8. Cigarettes are incredibly hard to quit, yet there are nearly no programs to help. I wish I had never started smoking. I feel enslaved to those cancer sticks. Do not start smoking. It is the worst decision I have ever made. Story 9. I tried something new during a game of Truth or Dare, and it changed my perspective. I never really thought much about men before that night, but now I find I'm intrigued by the experience. It's interesting to note that my interest is specific to the act itself, rather than a broader attraction. Story 10. Self-harm and cutting may not be recognized as an addiction, but they can be just as detrimental as addiction to hard drugs. Story 11. I am a recovering alcoholic approaching 4 years of sobriety. I have replaced drinking with other habits like spending, but I am working through it. At least now I ensure that the bills are paid before engaging in any other spending. Story 12. Factorio. My numbers are not compared to others. The positive aspect of having a family is that you cannot always play. Story 13. I am addicted to freedom and silence. I have never worked a full-time job in my life because I cannot accept rules, corporate codes of conduct, or guidelines. I have been a gig worker for the better part of 25 years, and I love the freedom it provides, allowing me to choose only clients I know I can work with or at least tolerate. For similar reasons, I have also chosen to remain single. There is nobody to answer to, compromise with, or be controlled by. My life has always been my own. Silence is something I cannot do without. Unlike most people who need human contact and activities, I enjoy solitude and being alone. I cannot stand modern society and do not understand why people engage in the shallow things they do. I do not enjoy being part of it, so I would rather be alone doing my own thing. It is peaceful and pure bliss. Story 14. Sleep. I run constantly, and when I have downtime, it seems like that is the first thing on my agenda. Then I carry on. Story 15. Alcohol and gambling have been significant challenges for me. I have not gambled for nearly 3 years. I was almost 2 years sober from alcohol until I had a slip the other night, but now I am ready to try again. Story 16. Looking at screens, it feels like anything could be on. I see a screen. I look at it even if it is turned off. Story 17. I was addicted to Splatoon 3. I would get off work and tell my husband, I need to splat some players. I became really good, achieving S rank in the Clam Blitz mode. I played it during every spare moment. While at work or out with friends and family, all I could think about was when I would be able to play next. I invested 1,600 hours into it and never touched the story mode. I am a 30-year-old woman. I sold it around Thanksgiving. I probably won't play it again. Looking back, it feels strange, and I'm not really sure what happened to me. Story 18. I have been addicted to cannabis, nicotine, and alcohol at various times in my life. Alcohol probably caused the most damage and had the strongest hold over me. I'm glad I never got involved with opioids or stimulants. Story 19. Fizzy drinks such as Coca-Cola, Sprite, and Monster are popular. I can buy an 8-pack of Coca-Cola and have only one left by the next morning. Story 20. I have quit smoking and had to part ways with my soulmate. However, I cannot stay away from sugar. I feel depressed if I consume too much of it, and I also feel depressed if I consume too little. I can stop for about 6 months. Feels like pure evil. Story 21. I have been overweight since I was a young girl and, at 57 now, I am grateful to have begun taking semaglutide injections, which have curbed my addiction to food. I have lost 120 pounds. It truly is a miracle drug. Story 22. Alcohol. I am now 3 years sober, and the hardest part was recognizing it as an addiction when feeling desperate for a drink is considered normal in our culture. Story 23. Sex, videos, and games entertainment. Once I find a new fictional world that amuses me, I get addicted to it and only want to live in that world. This makes me neglect my needs in the real world. Story 24. Caffeine and nicotine pouches. I am cutting back on both dramatically. I was addicted to cigarettes for 15 years and quit in January 2020. I started vaping and quit that in January 2024. But I need nicotine, so I picked up pouches. My caffeine intake has dropped by about 150 milligrams. Story 25. I was addicted to cocaine, pills, marijuana, alcohol, and painkillers. When I was 17, I stopped and have been 16 years clean. Story 26. Screens and sugar. It may not seem like a big deal, but both can really affect you negatively. I have improved my relationship with screens, though. Story 27. Nugget ice. I have an expensive countertop machine, and I eat it all day long. I have been doing this for years. Story 28. Car collecting is a passion of mine. I am 22 years old and have 3 cars in my collection. I especially love vintage vehicles. I prefer to buy cars that need some work because it allows me to fix them up for less money instead of paying a mechanic. However, it has its downsides. These experiences have tested my mechanical skills. I have faced significant issues, including slipping transmissions, misfiring engines, starting problems, worn suspensions, leaks, and overheating. I have worked on Japanese inline 4 engines, German inline 6 engines, and I am eager to explore American V8 and V12 engines. The only thing that deters me from purchasing a car is extensive rust. My driving skills have been tested as well. I once had the brakes fail while I was driving. Story 29. I was addicted to alcohol for 6 years. I drank nearly every night and lost relationships with my friends and potential romantic partners. I was also jailed multiple times for driving offenses, fighting, and indecency. I have been alcohol-free since September 15, 2024. I still feel shame because I have not quit smoking cigarettes or using marijuana yet. However, I can now wake up and greet the day at a decent hour instead of lying in bed sick and dehydrated. Story 30. 30 years of drinking. Way too much. 5 days sober is the longest I've gone in that time. My goodness, I need a drink. Story 31. Negativity and playing the victim have a physical effect on me. I start daydreaming in my head, and when I snap out of it, my muscles are tense, my jaw hurts from grinding my teeth, and the pressure at the base of my neck can be intense. None of it is reality. It all stems from a stray thought or worry. I can be relaxed, and then a memory gets triggered, throwing me into overdrive. I had an amazing imagination as a child, and evidently I still do, but it now seems to serve only my most personal and painful worries that will never come to pass. Story 32. I was addicted to badminton. I had to play every evening, even when I was sick, and I neglected all my work to go to the club. I underwent anterior cruciate ligament reconstruction surgery because of badminton, which led to meniscus problems. Now I have given it up as I was showing signs of cartilage deterioration in the patella at 40. Story 33. Anything that makes me feel good. I am addicted to more. Luckily, I am in a 12-step program to help me with this. Story 34. Pumpkin seeds and shells, roasted and lightly salted. Triple milled bar soap. Good sativa and indica cannabis strains. Story 35. Biting my nails and the skin around my fingers has been a lifelong habit. I was always told it would give me worms if I kept biting them, which was an attempt to make me stop. It didn't work, and now at 22 years old, my fingers hurt. Story 36. I was addicted to marijuana and cocaine. I have been sober from cocaine for 2 years now and sober from marijuana for 3 weeks. I am so proud of everyone who has achieved sobriety. Story 37. Anger. It's a very powerful emotion. Many people are addicted to it in different ways because it makes life feel different. It creates an addiction to chaos. Anger provides a feeling of control and power. Yet, it allows you to dismiss it as someone else's problem. For example, I snap at minor inconveniences, which relieves my built-up frustration. But much like substance abuse, it is incredibly destructive to both myself and those around me. Another example is politics, especially in today's world with extremist views present. Getting upset with political figures can foster a sense of tribalism and inclusion. I believe that the Make America Great Again movement emerged from unresolved anger issues. This pattern traces back to World War II and far earlier. In my opinion, anger is our most powerful emotion, with fear close behind. Almost every other emotion on the spectrum can be triggered or mitigated by anger. I go to therapy regularly, and I have faced significant challenges in my life. It feels akin to an alcoholic striving for sobriety, as I attempt to remain calm and composed. Story 38. I need to get at least 20 minutes of daily exercise. I train with weights 4 days a week and engage in at least 20 minutes of cardiovascular activity on the other days. I feel restless and anxious on days when I don't train. Story 39. Waking my children up every morning makes any challenges worth it just to see their smiles again. Story 40. Cheap books. I can't resist a good deal on a book that looks interesting. There's a secondhand bookstore close to my work that I have to avoid visiting too frequently because I tend to spend $100 every time I go in. Story 41. All actions and addictions begin with thoughts, even if we feel that our actions are automated. Therefore, I consider myself a thought addict. Story 42. I've been told I'm addicted to Celsius, specifically the Coke flavor. During one semester when I drank 2 Coke Celsius cans a day, I stepped back from my social life, eliminated distractions, and focused on my studies like never before. I ended up training myself to be extremely productive and motivated as soon as the drink touched my lips. So it's not really the worst addiction. Story 43. I was addicted to self-harm for 3 years, and I spent 2 of those years trying to quit. I am currently 3 months completely clean. Mental addictions are real and hard to overcome. My best advice is to stop as early as possible. You deserve to recover and be happy. I have some noticeable scars now, but they serve as reminders to keep pushing forward. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Story 44. Cigarettes, alcohol, marijuana, phone use, and pornography are challenges I am trying to overcome. I have recently been watching positive videos on sober living. If you have any recommendations for personal support or groups, please share. Story 45. Being on my phone, I am scrolling through Reddit and Facebook and watching YouTube shorts. I deleted Instagram to get away from social media, yet here I am. Story 46. Drugs in general, I don't feel proud about it, but if there is a reason why I am still alive, it is thanks to drugs. Story 47. Perfection. I am 14 years old, living in an era where everything is often determined by appearance. I strive to be a model of perfection, but I can barely find the depth to love myself and end up trying to be perfect for others instead. Story 48. Some might not consider this an addiction, but marijuana conditioned my body to be unable to sleep or eat without it. When I had to stop to undergo anesthesia, it was rough and I barely made it through the break. Story 49. I admit I have been trying to balance being my true self while being as seductive as possible. Story 50. Walking is all I do in my free time. I walk to get my steps in. I cannot sit still for more than 10 minutes because I always need to be doing something. Story 51. Energy drinks. Before I go to the gym, I stop by the store to get an energy drink and a protein bar. Story 52. In order from worst to acceptable. Sleep deprivation, my phone, music, sugar using artificial intelligence. Story 53. Music is my passion, and I'm far from sober. I particularly enjoy the energetic sounds of Warped Tour-style music, including bands like Pennywise, Asking Alexandria, and The Story So Far. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.